Good afternoon, teachers. Hope everyone's having a wonderful afternoon and a great summer. This is our last week, and I want to take a moment to go over our agenda. It's our last week because this semester ends the 29th, and next Wednesday is the 28th. So looking at our agenda for this week, if you follow along with me on Moodle, you're familiar with the format, our learning targets, which are focused on the use of mobile devices, in particular tablets and Chromebooks, but more specifically, the use of applications, also known as apps, as well as extensions, and applying those in your classroom to support literacy instruction. Below our learning targets are our agenda, and again, the format is familiar to you. It starts off with our overview, then the readings for the week, the mobile app extension assignment, and then course evaluation and summary of assignments. And what you may notice is missing is group work for this week. So under overview, I talk about the fact that I tried a new format this semester, this summer, where assignments were set for 2 weeks. And this was based on, as I mentioned earlier in the semester, on feedback from students where they felt when they had an assignment each week, which is the way that I did this in the past, when they had an assignment each week, that it was too much, that they were unable to accomplish, at least to their expectations, those assignments. So as I said, I had set it up this week where we had an assignment every 2 weeks. Well, the way that the semester falls, we'll only have 1 week to complete this last assignment. And I've made adjustments for that reason to our agenda for this week. And the first one is that we will not be doing group work this week, although I encourage you to meet with your groups and talk about the apps that you are using in your classrooms currently to teach literacy skills, whether those are reading or writing skills. I encourage you to meet, but you're not going to be required to. Also, I've reduced the amount of reading for this week and the number of apps. Historically, I would have had you find 10 apps. You're only going to be locating 5 apps. So with that stated, the rest of the overview, as has been the case the entire semester, is an overview, as I've said before, in lieu of a lecture, an overview of the literature on the benefits related to the use of this particular technology to teach new literacies. And then following that, we have, as I look at the agenda, we have our readings for this week. And as has been the case all semester, there's a lot of reading, and I've cut that down, again, based on feedback, the required readings. That doesn't mean that you don't have access to those readings when time avails itself to you to complete those, but I have a list of readings there. As I state on the section on readings, historically I've assigned the first 6 and encouraged everyone to read the 7th, which is an overview of evaluating literacy apps. Well, we have students this semester that from kindergarten to high school. And so as opposed to assigning the first 6 apps, which were more focused on kind of broad concepts in early literacy, I'm going to allow you to pick or encourage you to pick 3 of the articles to read this week. The articles range from early elementary ed to high school education. They deal with struggling readers, they deal with ELs, and so this is a way for me to differentiate my instruction and give you a student's choice as instructional leaders in your own classrooms to determine what you want to read. In addition to those readings, I've provided 3 additional resources. One is a chapter by an individual named Dr. Walker, who probably has the most prominently used rubric for evaluating all apps. And then I have his rubric as well as a rubric by Tony Vincent. And then finally, I have a chapter that I co-authored on the topic of evaluating apps and extensions. And just a real quick side note, there's not a lot of literature on the use of Chromebooks or Chromebook extensions to teach literacy. And that's true. There's not and that's because of the wide degree of variance in the use in those extensions, those tools, which are primarily developed outside of Google. But so there's not a rubric for evaluating extensions. But what we determined through research is that we can use sort of the same criteria that we use to evaluate apps to evaluate extensions. So those are your reading assignments for this week. And then I have the mobile app extension assignment, which, as has been the case in the past, I'm not going to go through all of that. Like with previous assignments, it's 3-part. You will not create a detailed lesson this time. What you will do is you will identify the 5 apps. Please find new apps. I provided a lengthy list of resources to identify new apps. I encourage you to meet with your colleagues to see what they're using in their classroom. It's not going to benefit you to talk about apps that you're already using. One of the primary barriers to integration of technology in the classroom is time. That we as teachers don't have time to evaluate apps. I'm providing you the time over the course of this next week to look at and evaluate and identify new apps. And I've found some great resources for you to do that, including, again, not to beat a dead horse, you have wonderful resources in this class with you to collaborate and find out what they're using, what your colleagues are using. So you're going to identify 5 apps. You're going to make a table where you present those apps, and then you're going to create a short video, 5-minute video, where you pick 3 of your apps. And these apps are all literacy apps, reading, writing apps. And you're going to present your 3, the 3 strongest of those apps that you identified in a short video. And then you will do a short write-up, the written component, like you had before, where you talk about just briefly how you would use one of the apps that you've identified in your classroom, and then how the application applies to ILA standards, ISTE standards, and your reading, as well as the Common Core standards. And I have a detailed assignment description, as I hope you found that to be true with previous assignments, as well as a rubric. And if you have any questions about that, please contact me, and I'll be glad to answer them. And then the final item on our agenda as far as work, quote unquote, this week, and I put that in quote because I put course evaluation as quote because it's not really work, nor is it even required. But I'm asking you, if you don't mind, to fill out the course evaluation. You can access that on your Moodle page for this course. And then the final item on the agenda is just a summary of our assignments, and that is to complete this course evaluation and to complete the mobile app extension assignment. And those are both due next Wednesday, the 28th. So again, if you have any questions, if you'd like to meet with me, please don't hesitate to contact me with both. If you want to set up an appointment or just have a question. And just once again, I hope everyone is doing well. As we sort of wrap up here this semester, I hope that you have found this course beneficial for you thinking about how you're using technology in your class to support new and 21st century literacies, which, as we know, encompass not only the research component of it, locating, identifying, evaluating, synthesizing, and communicating, but also the multimodalities that technology affords us in our classroom to teach literacy, and how that changes our practice, in addition to the need on our part, just like when we're teaching these new literacies, we're requiring students to learn skills as it relates to communicating, reading and writing with technology, but also the need for us as teachers to develop those skills as well. And again, I hope that this course has been beneficial to you in that regard. And I hope everybody has a great end to their summer, the great rest of your summer, and that you have a great school year. It's been great working with all of you. So on that note, take care and hope to see you soon.